All right. Welcome to our edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Luis Vasquez. Someone got removed. I think we're in. Yeah, no. We're good. We're good. I think we're good. How's it going, Lizzie? How are you?
Good. How's it going? Happy to be
Good.
here.
All right. Trying to see if did Amy get come back in. I don't know what happened to her. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see when she comes back. I'm good. I'm good. Lots of little technical difficulties here and there, but we are in. There we go. There's Amy. There you go. Now she's back in. All right. It's kind of crazy. Welcome to another live show. Many people have already come in saying hello. By the way, Frank, we haven't even started the show. You're already saying hi. VitFams already. Good vibes, good vibes. Joey Castillo saying already. Yeah, Chicharito, number 40, Tom scores. This is gonna be fun, but fun. As you see, we have someone a brand new face to the Mexican Soccer Show family. Welcoming Lizzie Becherano. Lizzie, hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome officially to the Mexican Soccer Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here after our little live meeting in California. It's fun to be back.
Yes, you got a chance to beat at the wonderful Pasadena game with then the media day. You got, was that your first Mex Tour experience for the year?
I would say as media, yes. I
Yes.
had previously
Okay.
gone to a game in Orlando.
Okay.
I will say no one prepped me, blaming you two. No one prepped me for what was the Rose Bowl. I had previously heard nothing but great things. And without going into too many details, I left struggling to catch my Uber, thinking a coyote was going to harm me. So, yes, there was no actual coyote, though. I may have like an irrational fear. But anyway, fun experience. Love Mexico.
But what
I was
going
gonna
to that's a rite of passage.
Amy, I think something's up with your audio one more time. Man, I don't know what's going on. It went
I did hear
crazy
rite of
again.
passage, though. Which
Yeah, she said rite of passage. I have no idea. Okay, well, hopefully her the audio will be coming back. But I was about to tell you that you went to like a really good. I'm not saying that they're all bad, but you had the media day, all those interviews. It was crazy that night, but we got the chance to talk to so many different players. Then there's food, there was churros. I mean, I was like, that's a pretty good game to go for. But then you said the craziness of the Pasadena match, and that's Pasadena is always a mess.
I did not know that. I left Dignity Health Sports Park with a great experience. The event was amazing, easy to get to, no Uber issues whatsoever. And then we get to Rose Bowl.
And then
lovely stadium, great press box, big.
Yeah, no.
Everything else.
Everything else trying to get in and out. All right. We'll get to know a little bit about Lizzie. Lizzie, tell us, where do you write? I know you're all over the place. You not only cover Mexico, but for all the fans that are listening, if on the either on the podcast on Apple Podcast or on Spotify, and you can't see Lizzie, she's here with us, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about where does she write? What does she do? How are you in the Mexican Soccer Show, pretty much?
So basically, I'm the U.S. editor for 90 Min. I cover pretty much North American football that ranges from MLS to NWSL, both U.S. national teams, women's and men's, and of course, Mexico and Liga MX. So definitely all over the place. I was originally born in Mexico, but I live in Miami now and have for the past 16 years, I believe. But
where in Mexico? Where in Mexico?
Oh, Mexico City. My heart is still in Mexico City.
Yeah, in Mexico. All right. I'm like,
Yes,
maybe we branch out. We got Adriana there. Tom lived there for a while. I'm like, all right, anybody? No. Mexico City continues to reign in the Mexican talk show.
it is the best.
All right.
So, yeah, I've been watching Mexico as a fan since I was born, but now covering it is a whole different experience.
A whole different experience. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully see if Amy can come back. I know she's having some mic issues. If not, she's producing it all in the background. So she comes in, you'll see back in there. Let's just jump right in. Let's go into it. There's 2 games that just happened. All right. And if we look at those games where, we saw the Pasadena game, finally something positive, 1-0. I mean, people are a little hesitant, we'll take it with a PK. And then going over to the first half of the Mexico-Colombia game where everything was like, all right, Tato's been working on some stuff. This is it. He said, these very, very important games between now and the World Cup. And I don't want to just stop there, but your take, at least let's talk about positive so far, especially between that first game and the first half, but overall your take on these last 2 games.
I think there are quite a few positives. I think obviously people tend to lean towards the negative, but there was quite a bit to leave with. First, in Peru, I think the highlight there was the defense. We saw pretty solid back line. Peru had 0 shots on goal the entire game, which was great. I mean, offensively, we didn't do great either, but we focus again on the positives. Our back line was great. I think in terms of a lineup, it's as close as we've gotten to somewhat World Cup mock. Obviously, I want to say barring injuries and whatnot with the attack, but between the midfield and, of course, the back line, I think it's the closest we've gotten. And I saw a pretty solid performance. I was pretty content with the defensive efforts, so I'd like to remain there in terms of Peru. Now, Colombia, as you mentioned, the first 45, I'd like to say it's 2 different games. The first half and the second was split into 2. Lots of positives in the first half. I think we saw a dynamic, energetic Mexico that we hadn't seen for a while.
Yeah.
And we saw the midfield connecting and start pressing up and seeing plays. And we don't talk enough about the goals that we scored from plays and actions. And it's not just a set piece anymore or a penalty kick. We saw players coming together and pressing up. Hadn't seen that in a while. I think we also experienced a Mexico during the game that started with the edge. We, unfortunately, during the qualifying cycle, saw a lot of Mexico either starting with the 0 and then ending up with that last-minute goal and to break the 0-0 draw, or going 1 down and then having to struggle to find the equalizer. Yeah. But now Mexico is winning this time. It was great. We weren't playing catch-up, and we did well. I do think, though, we didn't do as bad as many people freaked out after the 3-3. It's still a great Colombian team. They did wonders in the halftime. They did the necessary switches, everything. So I saw a lot more positives. I don't know about you.
Coming out of the first Pasadena game, I mean, even though Peru, it's not in the World Cup, I was like, it's still a really good team. The players are there. I felt like I would have loved a World Cup team before these games, but they didn't qualify. We had what we had, right? And coming out of there, finally getting a win after these Mex Tour games, and we haven't been winning. In fact, it's one of the first years where we had more ties, losses than actual wins for these, but everyone was okay with that because we were trying to build a team. Now, this is it. I didn't want to see another build-up type of game where, okay, we're going to experiment on this. I feel like Tata already has his men. This was like, all right, I want to see what this team can do. And I think this is where we're a little bit behind, where we shouldn't be needing these games to then finally go, okay, are there spots? I mean, if there's a national team that has played more games than anybody else in the world, it's Mexico. And friendlies wise, I feel like we should not, we should already be working with the team that's going to go. Now, granted, there's injuries. Granted, it's it's easy to say on paper, but Tata, is still trying to field some players. I feel like some of the media is still saying, all right, this is the last chance for X player. This is the last chance for this position. And as much as I would like to have been like, all right, we should already be done with that. This is the team kind of going forward, because this is like your practice right before the World Cup. It's not like that. So I enjoyed the fact that, in the first game, we saw Mexico dominate. It was a 1-0. It wasn't like a result where it didn't feel like Mexico kind of squeezed a win. So it was good. It was good. After a big crowd, and there was a lot of Peruvian fans. It was a good atmosphere. What happened at the Rose Bowl. Then came Colombia. Knowing that Colombia was a better team, and I think everybody saw that on paper. In fact, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is probably a game that we're going to lose. And telling people, I'm like, we're going to lose this game. And to the fact that I feel like players, one, the intensity is not there, right? And that's something that like you said, right? You were surprised that they came out with all this intensity. I really thought it was going to be another game where players are going to stay back. They don't want to get injured. I mean, I think look at what happened to Araujo. This is before the World Cup. These friendlies, there's always someone that gets something happens right before. It's like, are you really going to go 100%? And but I think Tata found a way to energize. I think this is what we're seeing, and it was probably that first half is one of the best first halves that Mexico's played in a very long time. In fact, I can't think of another one during qualifiers during that. So I was excited. I'm like, man, these players look like they're having fun. El fantasma it was just, I was like, where is this player? 2-0 down at a half. I'm like, all right, cool. We did it. I mean, even if it's a 2-2, I mean, we did something. But then came the second half, and this is where we've seen Mexico go up, especially in qualifiers, and then like a minute later, the team comes back, and that composure that kind of just scares you a little bit, because if these are teams like Colombia that when we go up and they're able to score 3 goals, especially 2 golazos and then 2 under 2 minutes, it just kind of gives you, it's hard not to think about the World Cup when you have Poland, where you have Lewandowski, scoring a goal, or we score and it just kind of falls flat. I saw some defensive mistakes. But again, it could be that it was the second half that are like, all right, we did what we needed to do, and we're just going to, kind of fall back a little bit. And Colombia's like, no, we're just going to take advantage.
Well, I want to go back to your point where you said that we are still experimenting with some players and we should be at the final stage. Obviously, I think injuries have not been in our favor. There's been a couple that have really rocked that solid starting 11. Otherwise, I think with Tecatito, Raúl, Funes Mori, just coming in now, like Jorge Sanchez, HH, I think there's been a lot of shakeup of recent. But while I agree there's been tests here and there with certain players still fighting for that spot, I want to commend Tata for imposing an identity and a style within our team. Because though I do think like prior to this international window, there was that fight between Kevin Alvarez and Julian Araujo. It wasn't so much of what can I do, if not who fits better into my system, which I don't, as much as you'd like to say every national team has done that at this point, like we have not seen them enough. And I won't go into the U.S. men's national team debate because I don't want to make this a U.S. versus Mexico type of situation at all. But
it's always fun.
It always crawls back in, no. But Greg Berhalter, I think, has not done enough to structure his team and impose an identity on them. So
do you think Mexico has an identity?
I think Mexico as a team does, but I think that has definitely chosen a style and has now said which players fit into my style. So yes, Kevin Alvarez was still kind of fighting for a spot, though I do think Jorge Sanchez has locked in his starting role. But it's more of who fits in more now, not so much what am I going to do with all this potential talent, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing.
No, I mean, this is where people are gonna kind of call me, like I don't knock Tata off, and people want that for Tata. To me, Tata's kind of just laughing, going like, who else do you want? What other Liga MX player? Because the players that I've called are doing well, right?
Yeah.
Everyone talked about Kevin Alvarez. It's and look at what happened at the game. It's what other Liga MX players are doing really well that aren't part of the Tata's team, right?
Right.
And I think this is what we have, and it's evident that the veterans were the better players in the last two games, like the players that have been there for a while. Huh?
I don't agree.
Really?
Well,
Gallardo,
not as a
Moreno,
whole. Not as a whole.
Chucky,
Oh, well, okay.
Guardado. Like, I'm talking about the guys.
Marcelo.
I'm talking about the guys.
No.
I thought Guardado had a good game.
I think his first 45 was great, and I do think he brings order to a necessary midfield. I think he just couldn't keep up. The second 45, he could not keep up. So that's scary to me. That yes, they do impose great organizational systems within the pitch and a sort of leadership role that's necessary. That's something that's scary to me, that opting for veterans is ultimately your Achilles heel. Like, personally, that's something I think kept Colombia out of the World Cup. Yet, and you saw they took them out of the game at halftime. It was a completely different Colombia.
I still think Moreno's our best.
Him, yes, I agree.
And even Araujo on the other side, Montes, it's like that. Gallardo, there's, he's playing well. And then in the midfield, I mean, the composure, maybe Andres is not there for the full 90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But a person like that starting and then watching Real Betis games, it's like you still need a person like that, right? Ochoa, it's like you kind of run down the same guys where you're kind of like, okay. And then on the other side, maybe Jorge Sanchez, right? I don't see that there's anybody that's going to break into those to that the Tata guys, the guys that he's known that he's been playing with, and there isn't anybody that's going to go in there. Sure, Alexis Vega is probably the new bright young face that hopefully we'll start to see. Chucky, and then whoever's going to be up front. If it's Henry Martin, is Funes Mori is going to be healthy. The big pack on Raul, Santi Jimenez, right? Okay, but I just kind of go see there isn't anybody that's young that is going to electrify that people are like, okay, this, so many people in the last year that we thought were going to be able to make it and crack in that starting 11 that, for example, Luis Romo, or players like that we're like, oh, these guys are going to be good. Just give them a chance. And, why are we having these old veterans guys? No one's really taking those spots. And Charlie Rodriguez looked off too. I mean, just, and that's a worrisome. That's worrisome. But I feel like Herrera's going to start, even though he hasn't played. Huh?
I don't like that. Like,
I understand it, but there isn't anybody that's like, oh my God, this person's going to take his spot. Like, I haven't seen any Liga MX young player that's going to take that spot. And anybody that I think should be there, it's if it's Santi Jimenez and Diego Lainez, Tata's just going to look for those changes.
See, like, the thing is, unfortunately, while I did think Tata had his lineup set, that's where life comes in and says, your plans, I don't think so. All the injuries have affected so much that, like,
completely.
Players like El Piojo Alvarado, who had no clue 2 years ago that he would make such like an impact on the team, is now fighting.
I'll give you a couple. He's one of my new favorite players now. And Tata really, really likes him. Really, really likes him.
I have. This is what I said, that it's not necessarily a hot take, but no, the thing is, this is obviously barring injuries. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. If you were to play top 3 today, I'm saying, like, tomorrow the World Cup starts, we're playing against Poland. I would have El Piojo in the center, Chucky to the right, and Vega on the left. Now.
Right now, over and everybody
listen, hear me out. Hear me out. I want to emphasize the chemistry that Vega and Piojo have. Especially in a national team setting. So you have these two players who have shown week in and week out that they have chemistry on the pitch, playing for Chivas together, training all the time. Off the pitch, we've seen their Instagram, Snapchats, like whatever. They get along really well. So that translates onto the way they play. But if we want to talk about results, they brought home bronze at the Olympics. Them two, that dynamic duo, I think they're great. So barring injuries and having to deal with all of that, they're two players that I personally trust will connect. Also, Vega, I think, is willing to take the risks on the attack. I think something that was so disappointing. No, it was so disappointing against Peru, and something we've seen throughout las eliminatorias in general is that in the attack and in general, Mexico won't take the risk. They are afraid to mess up, which I totally understand. No one wants to deal with the press, with losing their spot, with the criticism. I get that. But in order to win and in order to score, you have to take risks. I think Vega will do that. I think a figure like Diego Lainez will do that. I would put him in for the last 20 minutes of the game, but that's a whole different conversation. What I want to say is I think we need that sort of like energy, dynamic duo, new to the mold faces that aren't afraid to shoot instead of passing it around when you get to the box. Like they got lights up. He's not afraid, and they work together.
I agree with your take and that they would bring something, and you need that spark. The only problem that I have is that this is the World Cup. These two players have never played in the World Cup. World Cup is different. I would go Gold Cup. You tell me right now, these two guys need to start in the Gold Cup. Give them the Gold Cup. This is gonna be like,
we don't have a Gold Cup.
I know we don't have a Gold Cup, but I don't want to. And I'm gonna be a little afraid. I'm gonna be with Tata, and I think this is what Tata's doing. He's not gonna take super big risks if he doesn't have to. If he goes 1-0 Poland, one loses by 1 against Argentina, and then ties Saudi Arabia 4 points in, barely making it with 2 goals, right? Maybe an own goal. Yeah, and then all of a sudden just plays a boring ass game in the fourth game against Denmark. Goes to PKs, and it's wins the PKs, makes it the quinto partido.
You're going all the way now. No, that's a whole different conversation.
But I feel like this is the type of person Tata's gonna go for the goal. He's not how to get there. It's pretty, and I feel like this is why people hate him. Is that he's just going to try to get to the goal. The goal is to get to wherever. Maybe not playing attractive. Maybe not playing this beautiful golear, ganar, and gustar. So, and I'm kind of seeing flashes of that. So that's why although having someone like Vega, someone like Piojo, I do think he's going to go with what the experience. He's going to go with what has. And I think that's.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think he has that anymore. And I agree with you. I think he would choose the safe option. I don't think he's willing to take risks. The thing is, he doesn't have his comfort zone anymore. The top 3, his typical top 3.
I don't think he ever did.
But the thing is, no, it was going to be Chucky.
Never did. He had one guy up top. He had one guy, Raul. That was like his comfort.
Yeah, and that's gone. And his second choice, Funes Mori, that's gone.
That's gone too.
So
yeah, true.
He
no,
doesn't
I'll give you that.
Have a comfort zone anymore.
I'll give you that. Yeah. That's where I kind of look at the World Cup and I'm just like, is Tata just masterminding kind of like in a Juan Carlos Osorio kind of way, where it's like he's not showing what he's doing. There's lapses of greatness. There's still mistakes, and it's all going to be for that Argentina game or that Poland game.
The thing is, I mean, I hate making this as a point, but it's so true, even though people will laugh. But Mexico grows in a World Cup. We've seen this. They show up. I truly believe that given the fact that we don't have a comfort starting 11 anymore from Tata's point of view, we can take risks and these players will show up. Now, if I had my way, which probably if I had my way, the midfield would be Eric Gutierrez, Edson Alvarez, and Charlie. And then obviously
Charlie.
Charlie. But then you'd have
what has Charlie done, Lizzie? What has Charlie done?
He's Tata's favorite now. Like, we know that he's going to be included in those starting 11s. Like, there's some things I even resign to, and I'm not going to replace him. So mixing that fantasy and obviously some types of realistic mentality, I would love Guti, Edson, Charlie, and then Vega, Piojo, and Chucky. Yeah. Now, that's not going to happen, but a girl can dream.
I'm gonna go to this comment. Sadly, I think Wiesel was right. That's gonna go with the experienced players. Yeah, no, I think
he is. Of course, he is.
Look, Luis Rodriguez, Charlie's brother, is even saying it right here. But Fanny's saying she agrees with Lizzie about Piojo. Just Piojo middle. Something else I noticed about Vega is that he does have these flashes, but then it kind of disappears with the national team. Like there's like these little lapses where he disappears. Yeah. I watched the game over again, and I'm like, he does have this great, and it feels like, okay, I've done well. I'm just gonna. He doesn't ask for the ball as much, and I don't know where that. Again, that's something that I noticed. I'm like, hey, go get a little more involved. Love Lizzie's energy right now. She's bringing the great dynamic to the show.
Thank you.
There you go. See, it's bringing in.
Personally, I think about Vega. I think he has a short motor, and I'm not going to bring in Liga MX versus Europe into this conversation, but I think he does leave it out on the pitch, but then the energy runs out.
He's tired. Lizzie's calling Vega lazy.
No, because I don't think that he is. I just think like that's my mom. That's my mom commenting.
There you go. Hello, Lizzie's mom. Hey. There you go.
The Mexican soccer show. We all know Mexican moms. She had to be a part of it. But no, I think Vega's not lazy. I think he just needs to go to Europe, undergo training, sessions at the gym. Like, we've seen players grow. You see Guti before and after his move to PSV. He's a different player. Even Edson said that during media day.
No, he's Vega's super talented, but he's not going anywhere.
You think so? I think he's leaving in January.
Well, there's a lot. We all know Antuna's starting. Luis is saying that we know Antuna. Antuna is not this guy. Huh?
He didn't give a bad game against.
No. Antuna. It's again, it's Antuna versus Saudi Arabia is going to give two goals. It's like you're going to see it continuing to beat this guy from that very Gold Cup that he did in 2019, and we'll do that. All right. Are you I mean, I guess not satisfied, but do you feel better after these two games, Lizzie, or worse after these two games? And I'm going to ask everybody on the chat, if you're on right now, if you're listening to us, if it's through if you're on right now on the YouTube chat or on Twitter, tell us, do you feel better after these two games, or do you feel worse? And we'll try to read them off. But first off, Lizzie's answer, even though her guys are not in it.
I want to say I'm more excited, but it doesn't necessarily mean
because of the team. It's because it's closer to the World Cup.
Yeah, I think honestly, I've learned to accept what the team is at this point. There's no more wishing and hoping. And next FIFA international window and next type of friendlies, like, I think I'm just accepting what we have, understanding the team, and excited to cheer them on. And I think that's all really we can do at this point. You go from denial to acceptance. The five stages. The 5 stages.
Chicken Biscuit says, I feel the same as I did before. I don't know what that is, Chicken Biscuit. If that's
it's a great name.
You feel good, you feel bad. Joy Castillo saying worst. Let's see. Ivan Uribe saying, I feel slightly better. I'm just too optimistic for my team because I want them to survive. Okay. Same, to be honest. Nothing changed. Lucky if we make it to the 5th game. Let's see. What does it say? It reinforced me that Canada is the best team in CONCACAF.
That's a hot take.
No.
It's a really hot take.
The U.S. didn't look good either. I mean, the U.S.
Oh, you want to get into that conversation? I'm
just saying, like, as overall as CONCACAF.
Yeah, the U.S.
Canada's not even playing any games, so I don't even know what.
I'm not backing a national team that didn't believe in themselves enough not to make World Cup uniforms. So that's a whole different conversation. The U.S.
finally with me on the Canada bashing. Let's go.
Yeah, yes. Why would I bash them? Why would anyone believe in them? They didn't.
They came out last week, right? They're Canada. It's just like their logo with the red and white, right?
It's the same. They're gonna use the same.
I mean, maybe those are better than the U.S. ones. I mean, because people.
They are. They definitely are. But, no, the U.S. didn't look great either. But the thing is, and again, going back to your original point of we shouldn't be at a stage of testing anymore. I think the U.S. doesn't have a system. I think Greg Berhalter keeps saying we have this system, this system. He has absolutely no idea playing Sergiño Dest right back one day, left back another day, and I get it. He can play both sides. No, I think he's not prioritizing any player. I think he has no idea what's going on at this point. No identity,
really?
No system.
They don't make it past the stage group.
I think no. It is. I will give them. It's a complicated group. I think a lot of people underestimate Iran. I think England will be England, so they'll pass. Wales will be a surprise. I think.
So do you think they have a harder group than Mexico? Do you think they have a harder group than Mexico?
I think they have a more complicated group to their level. I think Mexico.
These are good. These are good. I like these. I like these.
It's a challenge.
All right, we switch them. U.S. goes to Argentina.
Because I think Iran is more difficult than Saudi Arabia. I think their style of play would challenge Mexico more than Saudi Arabia would. I think Poland and Mexico, and they are a la par. Like, it's a good game. It is a good game. I know they have Lewandowski. I know Barca fans will come after me, but it is an equal game. And I think the schedule more is in our favor. That first game really decides it all. We win, flying colors. We lose, it's a different story. And Argentina is kind of that token loss that we can afford to have.
But for the U.S. also, though, you lose against Wales.
Yeah, you lose against Wales, but I also would never say that they have an easy win against Iran. So I think
that's an easier win. Saudi Arabia, looking at Saudi Arabia, they have not lost games. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they didn't lose against the U.S.
Yeah, in a 0-0 draw, but I don't know.
I think both teams are around the equal. Like it's pretty. I think fortunate for both that you have the team that you're facing to get to second place play first. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
Right. Because if it would have been the other way around, if it was Mexico, Saudi Arabia first, huge. No. Right. If it was U.S., Iran first would be huge. So it's going to be up to those three. I still think the U.S. gets out. I do. Even though me that bashes the U.S., I think they get out. I think it destroyed in the last game, in the fourth game.
Who stays then? Wales?
Yeah, I think.
In Iran, but Wales.
Yeah, Wales, and I think U.S. makes it either 4 points, ties first, does a good job against England somehow. Just because I feel like I don't know. They're gonna try to give it all. Maybe like I could even almost see him like tie for some like the U.S. gets like just. I don't know. I feel like the U.S. is really, really good when it comes to games that they're supposed to lose, especially against rivals. And even though England's not a rival, it feels like a rivalry and everyone's taking it. And I can just see the U.S.
I would say it. Yeah.
I feel like there's something there that the U.S. kind of goes like, this is the game that we're going to show the world, and somehow gets like a tie. Like they do this at World Cup. As much as we say Mexico does this, U.S., Germany, U.S. during group stages also lifts themselves up, and they don't run. So as much as the rival team, I feel like they're going to do okay. They're going to get out, and then they're going to get just destroyed in the first game. That's it.
Like, the thing is, I don't want to bash the United States. I've obviously been following them. I cover them. I'm trying to understand this so-called system that Greg Berhalter tries to impose in every single press conference. I don't think individually they have bad players. I think they have an interesting roster. I think players that haven't been called up are great. Jordan Pefok, and I apologize if I mispronounce his name. I truly never know. But I do think he has great potential. I just don't think Greg Berhalter knows what to do with the potential he has in front of him. And I don't want to say wasn't deserving of his position. I do want to say his brother was USSF president at that point when he was hired as a head coach. So that side conversation for whoever wants to have that. But I do think he does not know how to handle a national team. And he also talks about the system so much that he prioritizes his system over the players that he has at hand, which I think could be his downfall. Again, I don't think they'll do badly. Should they get out of the group stage, I would not credit Greg Berhalter. I would credit his players.
Well, we're gonna see. What is everybody saying? People are saying they're gonna get spanked by the English, and that's the thing is that I'm like, if that does happen, I'd be like, okay, it's like it won't be a huge surprise. The question is, can we beat Poland, and will we? I don't think we're gonna lose to Poland. Like, I don't think Mexico will lose. It could be a tie. It could be a win. So I don't think we're. But then again, I kind of go, okay, well, I guess we saw all the signs if Mexico does lose against Poland, right? Like, we beat Argentina and we lose against Saudi Arabia. And
well, that's what everyone, I keep telling everyone, they're like, well, you have to win against Saudi Arabia. I was like, yeah, but that's what we do in World Cups. We beat Germany.
Mexico does really bad in third games.
Yeah. It's I do think we play well against Poland. I don't want to predict an outcome, but I do think we play well against Poland.
Let's see. All right, here comes the conspiracies. That has a conflict of interest with him skipping practice to watch the Argentina game. Am I the only one who can see this? He doesn't have the passion to take. Joey. No. Look, if there's anything, that's a good guy. Like, now following the guy, seeing him outside with the without the cameras, got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And he's human, and I think he really believes in his team. Like, he really, really does believe in the choice he's making, what he does. I think media makes it even me being part of it. When he was out, didn't go to the practice that was a sponsored practice, right? That was part of it. People were like, "What is he doing watching games?" When he was in Argentina, that doesn't matter to him. Like, he took Paraguay. He's a professional, and it sucks that people, I'm not like, oh my gosh, he has made some mistakes, the PR mistakes, or he has done some stuff, but now for him not to be professional, I think that's the last thing you can tell him. He's going to die with what he believes in, and he's going to continue it. I do believe that he didn't think, this job is a job that people don't know how it is until you're there. And maybe, who knows who's going to come back. There's no way he's going to come back, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. But I don't think that necessarily falls on him. I think it's just part of the cycle, and I think most World Cup coaches shouldn't stay after their World Cup. You asked, though, earlier what was kind of his legacy and what would he leave behind. I think in terms of the Mexican national team.
Uriel Antuna. That's his legacy.
Besides him, which I think, great guy. But I think two things. One, I do think he's leaving a more disciplined Mexico. Before that you saw any international games, and players would either take Mexico games as an opportunity for a shopping trip in this new state, or an opportunity to visit with the family, or stuff like that. And you saw crazy things happen in hotels and whatnot. I think since Tata has taken over, he's secured a serious tone when it comes to friendlies, when it comes to concentrations. I think he means business, and the players know that. And the national team should give that sort of energy. Like, this is serious. these might be friendlies, but we're working towards something larger. And I think that essence will stay beyond him.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it'll become a playground anymore. I think it'll stay within that serious manner. And the second thing, I think it was ahead of his time. I don't necessarily think he thought this stage would come during his tenure, but I think he started a generational change, kind of like a change of guard with the veteran players that aren't around anymore. When he first took reins, you had Chicharito, and I'm almost scared to say his name when it comes to the Mexican national team, but you had Chicharito, you had the Dos Santos brothers, you had Vela. Now there's a change of guard, and you're seeing fresher faces enter the chat, and starting in places you previously could not give an opportunity to a youngster. So I think he started that, but I think in the years following this World Cup and prior to 2026, we're going to see that huge generational change of goodbye Alchacha, goodbye Guardado, goodbye Moreno, and you're going to see great new faces. And I would like to plug in Carlos Acevedo, as I think he's so needed in this roster, but yeah.
They'll show all the way. Like I'm not really fighting for Acevedo, that third goalkeeper spot.
I'm fighting for his third goalkeeper spot. Like Memo untouchable, Talavera I'll keep. Acevedo over Cota any day.
Over Cota. Cota's been there. Cota's also been one of those guys for Tata. I really liked what you said on that first point. And it's completely true. If there's one thing that Tata has always said, is structure from the very, very beginning. Keeping the group, knowing that the players that work the hardest are going to get the call-ups, are going to get the starts. And it's actually true. Almost feels like that, the young, when you were in, 6th, 7th grade and you came and you went to play with your team and your coach said, I'm not just going to get the best guy to start if he doesn't, run the laps or if he doesn't come to practice. Like that's Tata in a very obviously professional way. And you can see that.
I left bench, so I wouldn't know that.
you can see that with Tata, and we've talked about the whole Chicharito issue a lot of time, but to him, even though Chicharito wants to come back, you weren't there when everyone was suffering during the qualifiers. You weren't there when they wanted to sack it's like, and honestly, I think he's just said, I have others because they were there, because they have been there. You're seeing players that are, even though they're injured, they're coming to the national team to just be with the team. These players are behind Tata, like more than any other national team coach that I've seen, because he's rewarded them with the hard work. So and I think his philosophy is, they're gonna do well. They're gonna fight for their spots, and they're gonna play their asses off for me, for the system, for this team. I think that's when a lot of people don't like what Tata is, because he brings in the older players, because those are the ones that are fighting for him. There have been some reports that he said that he wanted to quit, and from people that I've talked to, said that the players, the leaders were like, no, Tata, we're with you. They were the ones that were saying, let's do this together. Don't leave now. Right. And those reports were kind of coming out of the camp. What does that tell you about a coach that wants to abandon? Yeah, maybe you wouldn't like that, but it didn't happen. And I think the players are behind him, and that's where it kind of gives me a little bit of hope, kind of in the same way that the players were behind Juan Carlos Osorio, in a completely different way. Because Juan Carlos Osorio was like, party, let's do this. I'm going to be your friend. And, what happened, that's not going to happen with this team. And maybe you do have some players that were like, why isn't Johan Vazquez starting? Why isn't, and I think that's where Tata's going to go down. So if we see that Mexico beats Argentina, would be like, holy crap. Are you confirming that tried to resign? It's what, and I mean, I'll be honest, it's kind of what people said in the camps. I got some of my reporter friends there that have those stories around. No, and big names too. So I will.
I confirm that as well.
Yeah, so it's I don't think it fully came out, but that was what was kind of talked about. Which players, if any, you guys think will have a breakout World Cup performance, the type that really puts the global spotlight on them? When you look back at 2018, what players stood out?
I mean, going into this one, I think Edson will have a great performance. Obviously, less showy than what a forward would do, but I think Edson is going to have a great World Cup. I think Chucky wants to have a great World Cup. I think it's time for him to move on from Napoli personally, so I think he'll look at the World Cup as that stepping stone. I think Vega also. He's not really known internationally. I think there's always been rumors of him moving abroad and whatnot, but I think once given the opportunity on the international stage, I think he might go for it. Not for a full 90 minutes,
I think everybody needs to go to the Netherlands, like Mexico, players.
But they thrive in the Netherlands. It's a great league.
It's an easy league. Yeah.
Yeah, like you see Gutierrez, Edson, Santi.
I'm like Mexican players that just go to the Netherlands before they go anywhere else. To me, gosh, I just want Diego Lainez to explode. I just like this is my guy. Like it's just he comes in the talent. I feel like when he's on the field, like I don't understand him. It could be something else. Maybe this is where Tata goes. Look, we're gonna need him to sub in. He's done it against the US. He's done it in important games. Let's see. People are saying Santi. Yes. To me right now, I'd have Santi up front, Chucky, and Orbelin.
Interesting.
Yeah, that would be my tridente. Middle, yeah, Guti somewhere in there. I think it's going to be Guardado, Guti, Edson to start.
Really? Okay. I mean, I'd be okay with that. I think Guti and Edson together work really well. Individually, I think they're great players. I don't think Guti gets enough credit. He's been thriving in PSV, barred injuries as well. But I think he's been great, stable, and Edson is just like I give it's not like official title. It's not really anywhere, but I kind of like to call him El Guerrero Azteca because truly no one embodies that more on the field than Edson Alvarez. You see like the defensive tackles, the jumping, the headers, the set pieces, like no one leaves it out on the pitch more.
Yeah.
In terms of like that Guerrero spirit. So I give him that.
And it's funny because 4 years ago, he messed up royally. He had tears. I mean, what a story in 4 years. And then midfield, I mean, defense, it's kind of like Jorge Sanchez, Gallardo, and then in the middle, I still think Moreno's the best. Sub in Sudden Montes, but I don't know if it's two lefts or Araujo. It's like what new faces, there aren't that many.
Yeah, no, I think my back four would be Jorge Sanchez, Montes, Moreno, and Gallardo. I think stable, strong. Also, if like Tata has left anything, is a really stable backline. So, yeah. I'd go with that four. No new faces.
And then everybody has a job. All right. If any, let's see. What's Luis say? If any forward somehow scores even 2 goals in Qatar, it will be considered a breakout, especially taking into consideration the offensive struggles for the team. True. What are our starting 11? I think we just said it. If they play right now, there's injuries. So if they played right now, I think we all kind of just talked about what our starting 11 would be. And right now, I mean, look, Raul Jimenez, right? Everyone's kind of looking at if there's somebody that the Mexican national team thought that everybody's waiting to see. And then the reports came out that the injury was a little bit, I think it was after that Poland, that Pasadena game. Talking to Raul Jimenez, like I asked him straight out, how do you feel about your injury, especially going towards the World Cup? And he said it, I'll be there. Like, wasn't he, like he cut me off. He goes, I'm going to be there. So, he's determined to get there. So
and I think he's working on it.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think we'll see the version of Raul Jimenez that he deserved to show off prior to like that really bad injury.
Of course. Yeah.
It's not his moment. But that's the magic of the World Cup. I don't want to call it magic, but that happens with the World Cup because it comes every 4 years. There's certain players who just don't get to their peak in time for that international stage, sadly. But it happens, and unfortunately for us, it's happened to Raul Jimenez.
Yes. Going to Joey Castillo again with the conspiracies. Tata's heart is not in it. His mind is with the Argentina team. Mexico's World Cup chances come above this crying emotion of who's been there or not. Chicharito's done the most for it. He's the captain. Joey. He's in it, dude. You'll see. You're gonna be screaming a Mexico goal versus Poland, and you'll be like, Tata, we love you. I can't believe I doubted you. I don't know. I'm worried, but then I'm like, okay, Mexico's going to show up, right?
Yeah.
This is a coach that has a lot of experience. This is a coach that knows Argentina. You're right. He knows Argentina. He's played. He's been with Argentina. He's lost, but he knows Messi. Like, if there's anybody that knows Argentina, is this coach too. So I'm seeing that.
I think above all, he's a professional. And
yeah, he's a professional.
He's definitely in it.
All right. Well, Joe's laughing. Yes, he's there. All right. Sadly, Amy could not jump back on. She was ready to go with her mic kind of just went crazy. She was fine, and so I know she's in the background. She's live tweeting. Thank you all. Sorry, one more from Jose. Let's see what Jose's saying. Tata's heart is in it and has the player support. Hopefully that equals success. All right, there we go. Something positive. Something positive. All right. Well, Lizzie, it has been a pleasure to having you on. A fresh new face. Not only that, the energy. Say hello to your mom and anybody else that's watching on Lizzie's Families. Hey, you got to support. So it's pretty cool. Where can we find you and your articles or your Twitter? Let's see if we can. We'll post it. But tell us where you find your work.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an amazing honor. I'm on Twitter. It's Lizzie_Becherano. And if you go to 90min.com/US, you can follow along on all our North American football coverage.
Well, there you go. All right. Thank you to all who joined, all the chats and comments. I think we got to everything. We'll end with this. Fanny Cohen saying, yes, love Lizzie's energy, which is, Lizzie's mom. Thank you again. We'll continue to do these live. Our friend Felipe Cardenas from the Athletic was going to join, but he got sick, so hopefully he gets better, and we'll have him back on. Lizzie, we'll have you back on. We're going to have a great Mexican soccer show in the next couple months with the World Cup coming up. So anytime you want to come back on and chat and continue these hot takes, we'll see with Piojo and Vega will be starting. If they are, we'll credit to you, and somehow thought to watch this show.
I want to see this. Well, yes.
Thanks to everyone on, and again, thank you again, Amy, putting this together. Saying hi to Adriana and Cesar. Nos vemos hasta la próxima. It's been another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Adios.
Hasta la próxima.